Hello, and welcome to this week's Emerge 5. I'll be your special guest today. My name is Jon Arnold, principal of J. Arnold & Associates, an independent analyst providing thought leadership and go-to-market counsel with a focus on business-level impact for communications technologies on digital transformation. In this week's episode, we'll be looking at 5 collaboration trends for 2021. So, starting with number 5, this is what I would call messaging platform interoperability. And what I mean by that is with remote working, people are using a variety of collaboration platforms to get things done. And oftentimes, messaging is the best way to communicate to get things done quickly. Now, a lot of these platforms, as you know, natively don't talk to each other, but that's on the verge of changing now. For example, Slack recently introduced direct messages, a way to securely send messages outside of your organization to other platforms. And a company called Mio has something called Universal Channels, which follows the same principle of making it easy to communicate across messaging platforms. That is going to be, I think, a pretty strong enabler of collaboration going into 2021. Okay, the 4th collaboration trend is what I would call more voice, less video. That may seem counterintuitive since Zoom seems to be leading the charge for everything going video these days. There is a thing called Zoom fatigue, which I'm sure you've come across and probably experienced. I think as we go into 2021, the novelty of doing all video all the time is going to wear a little thin on people because it's so immersive. And I think you're going to see some pushback against that as people get kind of settled into their work from home routines. And it will just be too much to be on video sessions all day long. And I think to kind of balance that out, we're going to see more people going back to just basic voice conversations to collaborate. You can still get a lot done in voice only. And of course, going the other way, not everything needs to be a video call. We're just doing it because it's so convenient, but it does get hard to do all day long working in that mode. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a shift there. Not great news maybe for video, but like a lot of things, it just reaches a peak, but then you have to question the utility in terms of your overall productivity, that maybe it's a little better sometimes to just go voice only. So the 3rd trend I'm seeing for 2021 is what I call worker wellness. And what I mean by that is there are new stresses that people are starting to realize working from home all day long, trying to keep work-life balance in order, often in less than ideal working conditions with crowded spaces, distractions like pets and kids and outside noises, and plus the difficulty of not having a dedicated space to work effectively. What we're seeing now is this issue of wellness, aside from just being on video calls all day long, all those stresses when work from home becomes an ongoing thing. We didn't plan for this. It's creating some issues. So companies are starting to realize this, that there have to be a little more maybe lenient about giving people downtime to just walk away from their screens for a while, get up and move around, exercise, have contact with people in person in your own little bubbles. So that's something that companies are being conscious of. So when we talk about collaboration, to be effective, to be productive, there has to be a little more allowance for kind of balancing the mental demands of working in this mode all day long. A good example of this, for example, Slack has launched something called a Remote Employee Experience Index. So the theme for number 2 going into 2021 is what I would call safe spaces. And it's a bit of an extension from the last one I just had, which was about wellness. And there's this middle ground between working in the office and working at home. I think you're going to start to see emerging is the offering of what I would call safe spaces. In other words, kind of like workplace hotels, where people can go into spaces that are set up for work, but not run by your company. Now remember, with a lot of offices closing down, commercial real estate is totally turned upside down these days. I'm sure you've heard of WeWork, and that was a concept that was probably too early for its time. It has not proven sustainable in that model, but in this environment, that type of a space that can be produced in a way that creates safe environments for people to work, just so they can go out and have a change of scene, where all the amenities of a workplace are there, the photocopiers, all the resources for PCs. Bring your own PC, but the connectivity is there. You have access to collaborate there. as a change of scene, it can really offer a very positive alternative in a way to kind of balance out this work from home environment in an isolated setting. And finally, the number one trend that I would like to see going into 2021 is this idea of meet less, collaborate more. When we talk about collaboration, it's easy to just equate that with meetings. Now, you don't have to meet for every aspect that requires collaboration. I think people understand that. But as we settle into this work from home, atomized environment where we can't physically meet, yes, we try to meet as often as possible, and we have the tools, obviously, with UC to make that happen. But the reality is we don't all need to be in meetings all the time to get things done. A lot of meetings, certain team players only need to be there for certain parts of it. The idea here that you could have meetings as a base to kind of set the ground rules for what people need to do, but workers can be very independent with the tools they have today to get their piece done in their time, join the meeting at another time, or submit their contributions at another time and still be very productive. And the fact that we can't gather in meeting rooms now to work that way, yes, we can have virtual meetings. They're very effective, but the reality is we're all working independently now, mostly from home. And this idea of you don't have to meet as often as you might think to be very productive. You can just focus on the tasks you need to contribute to your team, get that work done. We have plenty of tools that allow us to do that. And I think we'll see less emphasis going into 21 on the need to meet to get everything done and just say, hey, distribute the workload, get it done, work in a channel, share the information, and you can be just as productive without having to meet all the time to collaborate. So thank you for joining us on this week's Emerge 5. I hope you've taken away a few things for what to look at in the UC space going into 2021. For those who don't know me, J. Arnold & Associates is my company. I'm very easy to find and follow. I publish a monthly newsletter. I produce a monthly podcast. And my website has all those details, so I hope you check it out sometime. Also, make sure you join the conversation at EM360, at EM360 hashtag on Twitter and on LinkedIn, and also to subscribe to this YouTube channel that you're watching right now. For more daily content, head over to em360tech.com.